The Eagles roll to 3-0. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Brock Eagle Football Show. As the Eagles beat up on Aubrey 56-7, another just magical offensive game for this offense that has literally hit the ground running since game one of the season. Holt Frazier once again with a great game as he goes 20 of 25 for 303 yards, 4 touchdowns. Of course, Colt Matlock with another amazing game at wide receiver, 7 catches, 164 yards, and a touchdown. Charles Hibbler had a couple touchdowns through the air. Levi Dean, the sophomore, with the 94-yard scamper, as it was never in doubt, and probably will not be in doubt this week as well, as it's a Thursday game. In fact, I'm recording this on a Thursday at 12:30. We'll have this up here quickly, as you'll be taking on Fort Worth Southwest, a 1-2 team that last week got drubbed by Panther Creek 63-6. Now, in saying that, you're gonna, if you go to the game or if you watch the game, you're gonna look across that field and you're gonna see some very talented big boys for Southwest. They've got a couple big offensive linemen like Bishop Zabata, who's getting some D1 looks. Jeremiah Hogg in the secondary and running back, he's getting some D1 looks. There's some talent on this team. They just can't find consistency. So what we're going to be doing is what we always do, and that's talk to the head coach of the Eagles, Coach Billy Mathis. But before we do that, we would, of course, like to thank our sponsor, including H&S Septic Services. Mike Hilborn, give him a call, 682-214-6003. But he also wanted us to focus on the Optimist Football Club and the Brock teams that are in there. And so each week going forward, we're going to have Players of the Week, like for the Brock 3rd and 4th grade team, Owen Klein, 2 touchdowns and an interception, as they beat the Bucks of Aledo 34-14. They're now 2-0. The Brooke Kinder team, Ray Starnes, had a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. They're also 2-0. The Brock 5th and 6th grade bench team, Corbin Bench, with 5 interceptions and a touchdown as they beat Team Brock Kirby. The Brock 3rd and 4th Solari team, player of the game, Owen Klein again, 2 touchdowns and record 1-1 moving to week 3. For the Brock 5th and 6th Kirby team, Carter Kirby also had 3 touchdowns between both games on Saturdays, with 1 win and 1 loss. So check out the Optimist Football Club. You can find them on Facebook. Just type in Optimist Sports Clubs. And we'll be having Mike on here in a couple weeks when the bye week is for the Brock Eagles, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth. You can also go online, optimistsportsclub.com. Give them an email, info@optimistsports.com, or you can call 940-389-6895 and support those Brock Eagles. All right, we're going to take a break. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett Brack here on the Brock Eagle Football Show. Now joined by the head coach, Coach Billy Mathis. And, Coach, you go to 3-0. You destroy Aubrey. And you and I talked about it. You said if we can keep Aubrey off the field, we're going to score points. Y'all did, 56-7. A great all-around performance.
Man, it was. I was very proud of, the team and their focus. Proud of that defense, first half, I don't think Aubrey they didn't have a first down. I don't know if they even had a yard. I think they were negative 14, total yards after the first half. And it's just a testament to the boys and the way they go out there and play and, sticking with their keys, tackling well. And then offensively, I think we were up 35-0. Holt Frazier and, of course, Colt Matlock, man, they were connecting on a lot of passes early. The running backs ran well. We had we got down there on the goal line and they stuffed us and we turned the ball over out there on the 2-yard line. And, we go in at halftime and we're still up 35-0. But I'm telling you right now that the O-line group is over there with Coach Bish, and they're over there going through everything of, hey, what do we do? They weren't satisfied. They were pretty mad that we'd gone down there and didn't score in the red zone. So, just another testament to the boys. They care. They love what they do, and they want to go out and they want to be perfect. They want to play physical, and, they do things the right way. And, that week of preparing, it's a tough week because it's a lot of run. And boy, in our JV teams, gosh almighty, I was so proud of those guys for the way they went out there. And, each and every week they run scout team and they go kick butt. And, they do a great job of getting us prepared. And then they go out on Thursday night and kick butt themselves. So, it was a good week. Proud of the guys. I know I think Matlock in that game, he had 165 yards or so receiving, which put him over. Now he's number one in the total career receiving yards here at Brock.
You talk about the JV, and you brought up something right there, and you and I have talked about this off the air before. I don't think people understand that sometimes it's harder to be on the JV than the varsity because you're having to run, like you say, scout team to help your varsity. Oh, and then you still have a game plan for your game later on in the week.
It is being the JV is a tough deal, and our guys, Hayden Waller made mention of it last week after our game, and he talked about because, he was that guy last year that was out there on the JV getting the varsity ready. And now, he's starting linebacker for us. Our boys see that, and they respect those JV guys because they've all done it. It's kind of that rite of passage. JV guys take a ton of pride in going out there and giving the varsity the best look. And you're right. When they're finished going out there running scout team, we got to turn around and work on their game plan because there's times whenever – our JV teams aren't playing the same varsity team, so they may be running scout team to a 4-man front, but they're playing a 3-man front, so they've got to go out there and we got to schedule in the time to get those guys ready to go too. So there's a lot that goes on, and those young guys, man, they do amazing. I think that's why when it's finally their turn to be up there on varsity, why they are who they are and how tough they play and why they play because they put their time in. They know how hard it is. They know what it takes, and that's why they respect each other so much as an all-around team, whether you're a freshman or a senior.
All right, you have a short week this week. You take on Fort Worth Southwest. I know this is going to be a repeat, but we're going to say what we did last year. You look at the record, but then you look at the talent. It doesn't always match up. This is a talented Fort Worth Hills team.
Oh, they are very talented. Coach Turner, he and his coaching staff, man, they do a stand-up job, and they got a lot of talent. They got a ton of weight in the backfield. I'll say that, right, man. They got 2 running backs back there, and when they're back there, man, it's probably 400 pounds, probably 500 pounds worth of running backs and quarterbacks back there. They're big, man. So we got to go out and we got to focus on doing our jobs. And that's what I told the boys. Don't look at records. Records mean nothing. Go out and do what you do. Go out and execute in all 3 phases of the game. And if we'll go out and do that, I think it's going to be a good night for the Brock Eagles.
Does it change anything when it's a short week like this?
It does a little bit, on how we, prepare because you're trying to get back to 100%, health-wise, for the football team. And, losing a day of recovery, it's tough to do, and especially after that game against Aubrey, what a physical battle and what the toll it takes on your body, so we're a day down, but, so we go out there and, this week it's just, you lose you lose the Thursday practice. So we just kind of scale it back a little bit, change it up a little bit, but we try to do a good job of, getting them healed up quick, but not missing out on any physicality of practice. So, there's some wiggle room in there of what we do, but, we're as prepared today as we would be, though, for a Friday game.
You bring up a good point. I think everybody looks at the score. Oh, y'all beat Aubrey 56-7, so no big deal. But Aubrey still hits hard. Aubrey's physical. There's still pain and soreness the next day, whether you win 21-20 or if you win 60-0.
That's a fact, man. It's a physical game, and you got to go out and you got to play physical. And Aubrey's a good football team, and they were very big and very physical. They outmanned us for sure. So there was a lot of battles going on down there in the trenches. Each and every week it's got to be like that. We pride ourselves in trying to be the most physical team. We pride ourselves in winning the line of scrimmage. We pride ourselves in winning third downs. All the things you got to do to to be successful. So we talk about that all the time, about not looking at the scoreboard, looking at the horizon of each and every play, right? You got to start over. You got that little battles that they have, every play to go win that big war there at the end of the game.
Well, you actually take my last question. You kind of answered it. I was going to say we've talked so much about how your team is, does so well in film study, and they obviously know what they're up against this week and how it should go. How do you make sure they don't get that too overconfident on something like that?
Our guys are very humble, and they understand. This non-district. This is about the Brock Eagles. It's not about Fort Worth Southwest. It's not about Aubrey Chaparrals. It's about us getting ourselves in the position so when district starts here in a couple of weeks, we're hitting on all cylinders. And, everybody wants to have highlights. Everybody wants to put the stuff out there. We had Levi Dean had a 94-yard run, this past week after a turnover. And he goes 94 yards, and he's on huddles. Big deal for one of the biggest, longest runs in the country this week. So, but he wasn't planning on getting them. He wanted that 94-yard run, but he was just running zone. He was stuffing up in there and bounced it. So it's the same mindset. Go out, take care of business. Go out and do your job. Go out and focus on your keys. The highlights will come. But if you go out there with a mindset of, hey, I'm going to make some highlights, you'll go out there, you'll play undisciplined, and you'll play sloppy. And we're about discipline, and the boys are about discipline. They're about going out and executing. So that's the message, and they go out and they do it. And this is a hungry team. They're excited about where we're at. They're not looking past anybody, but, they know what our goals are, and they know to reach those ultimate goals, we got to go out and be successful each and every game.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe.